All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Peak Performance Summit, creating harmony between mind, body, and nutrition. I am your host, Keith Lockwood. I am here with James and D'Leene DeBoer, founders of Couples Who Dance and authors of And So We Dance. They help couples deepen intimacy and reignite passion through movement-based relationship transformation. D'Leene is an RN with a BSN and an MS in leadership, and James is a hardware engineer and project manager in tech, combining neuroscience and practical relationship tools to create unique framework that turns everyday movement into therapy. Their kitchen dance challenge helps couples connect through accessible movements, practices, emphasizing connection over technique. With their warm personalities and touch of humor about their golden retriever slash cat-like dynamic, they teach the art of leading and following, skills that enhance both relationships and leadership. So welcome, James and D'Leene.
Hello, thank you
Thank
for
you.
having us.
Yes, no problems. So we'll get right into it. So first, I like you guys talk about mindset and mental resilience through movement. What inspired you to create Couples Who Can Dance, and how does their approach differ from the traditional relationship coach and dance instructions?
Well, I know we both entered dance at different points in our life and for different reasons. For me, dance has always been my way of coping through the hard times. So when I was born to people who never really should have had children. My parents were not good, responsible parents, and we experienced a lot of really tough trauma and things. And so dance, I wasn't allowed to go to school. We were kept home. And so I would watch like OPB and they had ballet. And so I would be at home, this little kid, and I'd be doing ballet at home. And it was just such an escape and allowed me to get through all of that. And then I flash forward, which actually now is almost 18 years ago. And I had lost my first son, and going through that experience, dance is really the thing that saved me, because it allowed me to process all of the feelings and emotions that I was going through in a way that I wouldn't have been able to otherwise because it's nonverbal.
Yeah. I would say for me, it's definitely not as deep as that. For me, I was invited out by a girl on a date to go dancing. It was specifically blues dancing, and it's something I never really got into because I just considered myself a white guy that doesn't really know how to dance, 2 left feet. And so I said yes to it, though. Let's go for it. And I went out and tried it, did a class, and then had social dancing afterwards. And it was pretty cool. I liked how it challenged me and how it got me out of my normal comfortable zone. And so after that, I went out and tried a bunch of different dance styles to see what I liked the most and stuck with a few of them and then just kept going. I really liked how, again, it challenged me and then it kind of it's like consistent growth. And I'm
Yeah,
someone who loves to grow myself consistently and gain knowledge and just keep going. I don't like to sit idle and, just limit myself.
Yeah. And what we saw, we started our own dance studio back in 2017. And we ended up having a lot of couples that came and they wanted to learn how to dance together. And what was so beautiful was we actually, because dance is a nonverbal communication, any of
hmm
the struggles that they were experiencing in their relationship kind of came out while they were trying to learn this really difficult new thing.
yeah,
And what we saw was that most of what we were doing, like 90% of what we were doing, was actually helping them communicate better. And we would watch their relationships transform in front of us. And then they
yeah.
would get this like this sparkle back in their eye. And it was just this really sweet and beautiful process that we got to witness. And we were just like, we want to do more of this.
Yeah,
Like, yeah.
I love that. That's awesome. So you guys are both diverse in like dancing, and you have your dance studio. So let me just ask, what is your favorite dance style?
Oh, West Coast swing for
Yep.
sure. Yeah.
There are a few
Um,
other ones, but our top one is West Coast swing.
Okay.
and that has a lot to do with the West Coast swing is a dance that was born of um, creativity. It's a merger between Carolina Shag and Lindy Hop. And so because those dances sort of combined, West Coast swing became a dance that not only was created creatively, but it also evolves with the music, which
Yeah.
means that we're influenced by all of the different styles of music. We have hip hop influence, and we have salsa and zouk and kazamba and like all of these great things, and it just makes it super expressive.
Yeah, we can like integrate it into most kinds of music, which I love that. So we can just dance to anything just about.
Yeah.
And oh, I forgot what I was gonna say, but
Just the diversity of it is
yeah.
amazing.
Oh, well, that's what I was gonna say. I love the creativity inside of it compared to a lot of other dances. You can be creative with a lot of other dances, but the dynamic in a lot of other dances is mainly it's lead dominant, where you think of traditional dance where the lead kind of instructs the entire thing and the follow just listens the entire time. Whereas West
Yeah.
Coast swing, it's a lot of back and forth. So it's an actual conversation and not just a one-sided conversation. So I'll say something, I'll speak nonverbally through dance, and then D'Leene will hear something and she'll want to hit and do something. So then I'll stop and I'll listen. And like we just play off of each other constantly. So I really like that. I enjoy
So it
that.
makes it a little bit more fun.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. And I can kind of see the dynamic that you guys are speaking about, but can you share the golden retriever and cat-like dynamic and how that personal experience shapes your work?
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
Definitely more the extrovert and introvert.
Yeah, so we have such a deep love and respect for each other. And it that in and of itself helped us to power through and overcome like our very different personality styles and our very different communication styles. So the description, I was like, oh, like I'm the human golden retriever. Like I get super excited and I love people and I love new things and I'm curious about everything and I annoy cats. And James is like super hyper independent and very like peaceful and he's observant and
Yeah, I like to analyze everything. So it's a good mix. We level each other out and help bring, like we meet each other in the middle.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's awesome. This is a great expression. So, so for the science behind movement and resilience, what does research tell us, about the neurological connection between movement and mental resilience?
Yeah. Do you want to start?
Got it.
So there's been lots of different studies and they've studied music and they've also studied dance and and the influence of movement on building new neural pathways and as a therapeutic tool. So with dance, because you're doing a combination of things, you're paying attention to you have spatial neural pathway development, you have rhythmical neural pathway development, the nonverbal communication and adaptation and being that resilience is because as a dancer, you're learning new things. It doesn't always work. And especially as we're learning it, it's like a baby learning how to walk
Yeah,
and they fall down and then they get back up and they keep trying like nobody tells them this walking thing's not working out for you, just keep
yeah,
crawling, and that develops all the neural pathways that allow them to become proficient walkers. So dance is one of the few things. There's a lot in sports too that helps build these types of neural pathways, but dance specifically because music is part of it really develops your brain so that you end up being your brain ends up processing more information as a result.
I
Yeah.
like that. I like that. And it's a different approach because, like you just said, you're doing all the time. You got the spatial, the what's the
Rhythmical. Yeah.
rhythmical? There we go. You got
Yeah.
the rhythmical, and like you're in tune. You have to listen and like feel, and then you got the nonverbal. So there's all those different things that, you know, we don't even realize that we use on a daily basis, but we don't, like, we take it for granted kind of.
Yeah,
So I'm sure it comes out when people are going to those, you know, the dance lessons and things like that. You can see all the differences and things like that.
absolutely.
So how does partner dance specifically create different neural pathways than other activities for you guys?
I'll let you go. I'll go after.
Okay. With partner dancing, in particular, because it's combining you with another human being, that dynamic, because you're now being aware of yourself and being aware of someone else, being aware of the partnership and connection that's happening there, and you're both simultaneously being aware of the music. And you're having this constant back and forth. So it accelerates your learning in a lot of ways that other things never will. We joke all the time that uh, even if somebody is not a couple and they're dancing together, it's a 3-minute relationship. You are going to learn things about yourself that you wouldn't otherwise learn, and you are going to leave that partnership grown. Yeah.
Um, I'm thinking about that last question and the one before that you had that. Also with that, it does build that resilience because before we get into dance, a lot of us are hard on ourselves. And
Yeah,
especially as adults, we don't want to look foolish going out and doing something that we might look bad at. And so
yeah.
we kind of are self-defeating of ourselves. We prevent ourselves from going out. And so once you get over that hump and you push yourself to go out, it builds that resilience because you're going to have things that go wrong. You might step on the person's foot or something might not go the way you mean it to. But that's how you build that resilience is you get past that and you just keep going. You keep going, you get better and better. And then with that resilience, you get more confidence and then you feel more open to just going out and doing more things as well.
Yeah, 100%.
I love that. Yeah. And it's definitely a confidence thing, a boost is getting out on that dance floor because you know that there's someone there that's staring at you like, what is this guy doing? What is she doing? Like, she looks crazy. So you have all that playing in your head. So to get past all that and still go out onto the dance floor is you're definitely being resilient. Um,
Yeah.
so for movement as medicine, you
Yeah.
describe movement as therapy. For relationships, what does that mean and how does it build resilience?
So part of why I talk about it as therapy and why what we've witnessed as it being therapy is that um, I'll speak to this from a personal level. For me, dancing when I'm out on the dance floor, and or I'm even dancing in the kitchen with my person, it is an out of body experience. It is like my soul is completely free, and that expressed soul, it allows you to process a lot of things that you really don't have words for a lot of the time.
Mhm.
And this is why music is so powerful as well. Why music throughout history has been a part of resistance, and empowerment and education, and because it has such a powerful impact on us and our bodies. And so that moment, or the few moments that I'm dancing, is like processing through all of the week's trauma has happened, and I get to just like, it's like gone. It like washes away so I can take the next thing that comes along. And we
Mhm.
see this in our couples. Do you want to touch on that at all?
Well, what I was going to get into is, well, there's music therapy
Mhm.
that's been proven to help with anxiety, with depression, and with, is it Alzheimer's?
Parkinson's.
Parkinson's, and to help bring memories and help bring your emotion up. And the same thing with movement therapy. And when you combine the two, it just doubles the effects. And I know for me, for personal experience, like I'll have anxiety and I won't want to get out there. And that's because I'm in my head. And when I dance, when I do get myself to get to do that, it makes you become more present. You have to be present with the person you're dancing with and in the moment rather than sitting in your head and having things running and running. I mean, that does take practice because as you're dancing, you're thinking, oh, I want to do this, 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 this. And so it doesn't come right away. It does take that persistence and practice and that
Mm.
resilience again of just keep doing it and you're gonna flex that muscle and it's gonna get stronger and stronger. And you're gonna be more confident and get over those humps that are usually setting you back.
Yeah.
And so with that, in all your time, what changes have you observed in people who embrace movement as a resilience tool? And are any of these things like instant? Or is it like they come back, 2, 3 sessions and then you're noticing like changes?
I usually it doesn't come right away. It's a muscle that has to be flexed and has to be worked out. Um, it can get couples excited, and so they do want to go out. But everyone is different, and so some people might be right away. They're excited and want to do more and more and more. Some people they might still feel shy about it, and so they want to come and do something more in a private setting a couple times to build more of that confidence and keep flexing that muscle till it's strong enough that they do want to go out and do it. But kinda like for me, what I've seen is very similar, where people are very shy about it. Like, if you go out to a bar, they don't wanna get up and dance. They don't allow themselves to get out there and have that fun. But once they get up and they flex that and they practice it, they're more open to doing these things and dancing in different areas and having more fun where they have that, more of a like a rebound. If instead of defeating themselves, they go, "I'm gonna get up and do this, and if I mess up, who cares? Keep doing it again, do it again,"
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they just have fun with it rather than defeating themselves about it.
Yeah. And just the practice, because we talk a lot about the parallels between life and leadership and dance and what it takes to be a successful dancer, because they all work together.
Yeah.
Um, and what we've seen like in our students is that their confidence grows of them trying this really hard thing that they thought they couldn't do, and they start feeling that proficiency with it, or at least comfortable with being uncomfortable. We
Mhm.
actually see them try more things in their personal life, whether it be they're going out hiking now and they're going out on dates, or trying a new career. Like we've witnessed such transformations in our students over the years, and it's really because dance was sort of this gateway to them building confidence and realizing they could do something hard, because it's you get repeated practice trying over and over again.
So with that, could
Mhm.
you guys share a simple movement exercise with that our audience could try right now to build resilience?
Yeah, the main, like, just as an entry point, I actually do have everybody work on their engaging their core and holding their posture, because that in and of itself is going to have a profound impact on how you present yourself. So what I do is I have people take their fingers and put it on the inside part of their rib cage, and then you take a quick exhale. And as you feel your rib cage clamp down, hold it down, because breathing's not important. We're just gonna have good posture here. I'm kidding. So it helps people feel what it feels like to engage your lats. And as you have your rib cage held down, pull your belly button towards your spine. So it ends up putting people in a really nice posture. And just that posture, you feel different. And like our students, they all the time they're like, I've had people notice my posture, and they're like, are you a dancer? And they're like, yes.
But especially if you're not used to doing that, it's gonna feel uncomfortable at
Yes.
first. You like sucking in while kind of, clamping down and then pulling your belly button back and trying to hold that for a while. It's not the most comfortable, but you get used to it over time. And yeah, it helps your posture. You naturally will kind of raise your chest up and have your shoulders back to do that movement and to hold that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So you
when I
need to
just did
try
it,
it over and over.
I just tried it and I was like, I feel taller.
Yeah.
So how do you teach others to recover from missteps?
Yeah. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, really, really on that with missteps. That could be like stepping on someone's foot or running into each other or something happening that it wasn't supposed, they weren't meaning for it to happen. And so really it's just having grace and forgiveness with each other. Not getting mad and not having like if it's a couple, what you see on the floor is like they'll have these little quiet fights, like, wow, why'd you do that? Why'd you do that?
Yeah.
But not having that happen and just having grace and forgiveness about it and be willing to try it again and then try it again. And it's that practice where you're going to get better. You're going to start reading each other's cues and movements. And everyone is going to have like different cues in how they move and how big of steps they take. And when you practice with multiple people, it just helps you really learn how to communicate non-verbally with a lot of people, how like what body movements mean, what directions mean if they're happy or if they're sad. But yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And just the creating neutrality about a misstep. So, like in life, in work, in relationships, things happen, things go wrong. Um, and how we look at that and how we move through that is what's going to determine the success of it. So we use the example, we've done both choreographed routines, and then when we compete, there is no choreography. We're in the
Yeah.
moment creating to the song that we're hearing. And like we might miss something and miss a hand or
Hmm.
kind of lose our balance. Like any number of things can happen. When you do a choreographed routine, you practice so much. Like usually you prep for a year to put a routine on the floor for like the US Open is a huge event of ours. And when you missed something that was supposed to be there. And it is
Yeah.
so hard when you're outperforming on the floor to not feel a certain type of way. So this like really teaches you how to be just like move through it. It's neutral, it happened, move on, move through it.
Well, yeah, and changing how you do verbalize things. Like, if something goes wrong, not telling the person, "Hey, you did this wrong," or "Hey, you're supposed to do this," but changing it. Like, when this happens, do you think you could you try giving me more pressure here or more resistance here?
Yeah.
Or I was meaning to do this. Is there something I can do differently to make that happen? Like, but so it changes how, the words come out and how they approach the situation.
Yeah.
100%.
No, I love that. And that's the nonverbal things that you guys are just picking up and going, because like you said, things are going to happen every day, but that doesn't mean you just give up and stop. So it's the same
Exactly.
thing, like relating that onto the dance floor. But I do like this next one because I feel most people will feel more comfortable doing this. And it seems like the title of it is exactly what it says. So can you tell us about your kitchen dance challenge and why does this daily practice work so effectively?
Yeah. So we started doing because it takes people time to develop a new habit, and because it's always uncomfortable the first few times that you do it, you get to do it a few more times. So what we do is we run a 7-day dance challenge where we have people dance in their kitchen, whether solo or in a partnership. And over that 7 days, every day they're doing two songs, and they're just getting to be in the moment with those songs. It's not about having perfect steps or perfect timing or being in judgment of any of the things that are happening. Just connect with the music and move how that moves you. And what happens is that people get through that awkward first stage and then they start really feeling like excited to do it. And
Yeah.
then by the end, they've reached that place where it's like, oh, like they look forward to it and it feels so good when they're done.
Yeah. What brought us to come up with that is, well, music brings you present, like listening to the rhythm, listening to what's happening.
Mhm.
And I just know one day, me and Daleen were just having an off day. Like we both
Just
just,
missing each
yeah,
other.
it wasn't exactly with each other. It was just we both were just having off days, and we get home, and then it kind of bleeds to each other where it's just not, grooving as good as it usually is.
Yeah.
And so we were in the kitchen, and I put some music on. I said, "Hey, let's dance," because what we got is when you start your day and things are going wrong, and then you let that settle in your brain, and you think, "Oh man, I can't believe that happened. Oh, this sucks." Like that just kind of continues and perpetuates itself.
Hmm.
And when you dance with each other, it brings you again, it brings you present. And so you don't have time, or you stop thinking about all these other things, and you're just in the moment, especially with your partner. And we like to start with like just holding each other in like a closed position and taking some deep breaths, because then you're syncing your breath, and then it's like you're syncing your heartbeats with each other, and that's it. It really just brings you present, and everything else kind of just melts away, and you remember why you're here with this person and why you love this person, and then it takes you out of all that funk.
Yeah. Yeah. Super fun.
That. So, and off of that, can you share a success story that demonstrates the transformation possible, through this work?
Yeah. The like I said, we've seen repeatedly just the students who come into our classes and watching their transformation over time, their confidence builds and they get comfortable being uncomfortable. And we've seen them change careers and like either begin or end relationships that were no longer like they finally realized why it wasn't working and they had the confidence to do what was best for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
We've
Yeah.
seen their relationships improve and not just with their partner, but also their children,
Hmm.
family, and friends.
Yeah,
Um,
just
yeah,
really, really have them blossom, because before they would have a tight, small friends group, and then they just kind of, they grown to open themselves more. Because I mean, dance it brings vulnerability, right? You're putting yourself out there, and when you do that, you're not only having this short dance relationship, 3-minute relationship, but you are meeting a lot of people, and you are learning to be more open and communicate with others, and so their friend group would just grow and
mhm,
blossom.
yeah. There's a lot of awesome people who end up coming to dance classes, and they're all you know growth mindset individuals, and it's really
Hmm.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. So everyone gets a special gift because we're doing two different topics, same thing kind of, but on two different sides. One's a mindset and resilience, and then this one we're going on leadership and personal development. So how did you guys first make the connection between partner dance and leadership principles?
Yeah, so we both do leadership roles in our professional careers. So myself as a nurse and James as a project manager. And the things that we saw in dance is all the same principles that end up making a person a good leader. We're both lean methodology trained. So part of lean methodology is that you go to the area where the work is being done and you let the people doing the work tell you how to do a better job, which is following. So you're letting your followers talk to you and lead you, even though you're the leader.
Yeah, instead of there's a leader, and then there's a manager. And instead of being a manager, which you just give directives, and you look ahead, and you're not present with the person. You're just like, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this, or you did this wrong. It teaches you to be a leader of being open to letting the other person take over, and having that back and forth communication, and with that, not setting the person up for failure, and not telling them they did something wrong, but opening up, like, how can we make this better, or is there something I can do for you to make this happen to the outcome that we're looking to get. So yeah.
Yeah.
And so with that, like your experience working, with couples translates to individual and professional environments.
Yeah. Well,
Yep.
and we see there is a huge correlation between the success of your relationship and your success in your work life and other areas of your life. There's a lot of bleed over. So when people work on their relationship, they end up having improvement in their jobs and careers and whatever other things that they're doing. So it's really impactful.
Yeah, it helps bring them out of their box, like I mentioned earlier, that rebound resilience. When something goes wrong, you don't just stop and say, "Oh, crap." In dance, you learn how to get past that and then keep going and keep going. And so when something goes wrong at work, you don't just keep beating yourself up. You say, all right, let's go again. Let's go here. Let's go here. As well as, reading those nonverbal cues from people. It really helps on that for leadership aspect of like a lot of people won't speak up on what they're feeling.
Yeah.
They keep it private and to themselves. And so being able to read body language and what's possibly going on with this person, and then with that, not learning that non-judgment and just how to open that conversation up with them.
Yeah.
I love that. So what misconceptions do you guys feel that people have in dance and in leadership?
The manager versus a leader. So people are more familiar with that traditional, like, let's use dance as an example. They're very
Mhm.
familiar with the traditional role of ballroom dancing, where you have a leader and you have a follower,
Yeah.
and the leader does all of the leading and the follower does only following.
Only listens.
Yeah, only listens. And the same concept happens in management. They're used to management, where you have somebody who's always telling the workers what to do, and workers never have a say and they just need to follow. And the beauty of leadership and for the lead followed piece in dance is that it's a conversation and there's a lot of give and take, and you actually learn a lot from both people by having that exchange back and forth.
You guys need to bring this into the military. Talking about leadership and
But
management.
he's Air Force, so yeah, he can speak that language.
There you go. So you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm prior Army, so that's part of the reason why I got out was the leadership management styling of things and people calling themselves leaders, but it's like you're not leading, you're managing. So
Yeah.
100%.
they need to
Yeah.
go
Yeah, when
take
I
some
got
dance
out,
lessons.
yeah, when I got out, I was like, I am not dealing with that anymore. So like I've had to change jobs a lot because you go
Yeah,
in and they just say this. And for me, I don't like to work that way anymore. I
yeah,
want to have the understanding of why I'm doing this or why is this working the way it's working so that if I fully understand something, I can be more on board with it and support what's happening rather than just like, oh, I'm gonna listen and do. I'm gonna listen and do.
yeah. And when you understand everything, you naturally do better. So
Yeah.
Yes.
there you go. And it's so same thing when it comes to, dancing, when
Yeah.
you're both engaging and not managing, it's you find your flow. And I
Yeah.
feel, is this something that's common when going into dance? Like, so if I am like, yes, I love one style of dance and then I get into it and then it's like that's not what I'm supposed to be doing.
Hmm.
Like a whole different style of dance is like what is made for me and like how often do you guys find that like that shift?
We actually have like several people who were doing different dance styles and then finally found West Coast swing. And what their experience was a lot of it was follows who came from like some other dance style, usually ballroom.
Mhm.
And then they come to ours and they're like, oh, like this is what I was missing. And there's that feeling of being seen. And yeah,
Yeah. Well, no, I was just thinking that the big thing is, oh, I get to speak in this?
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. This can be a conversation instead of me just following and listening the entire time. Yeah,
yeah,
that's the
yeah.
big one for I know for the follows in the dance. Like
Mhm.
that's the big thing for them is they actually get to bring their personality out rather than just embellishing off of what the lead gives them. They get to bring out their creativity really in it of like what they hear in the music and how they want to hit it and have that conversation rather than just a one way street thing.
Well,
Yeah.
and we have students too, and this is where having coaches or having some mentor who's able to give you guidance. Like we've had a couple of students where you can tell that they feel more comfortable and they are more suited for things like ballroom. And they don't necessarily stick with something like West Coast swing because it's a little bit too relaxed for them and they
Yeah.
actually want all of the structure. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, having somebody who's experienced give you some guidance on what other things might be out there that you're not even aware of to go and
Yeah.
try and make some recommendations.
Oh yeah. If anyone were interested in, doing what we're talking about, I would recommend trying out if you in your local area, trying out and going to different teachers because everyone's going to verbalize something differently or have their own
Yeah.
teaching style. And so you might not thrive with one person, but you will thrive with another. So give multiple people a shot. You're going to hear things, you're going to hear the same subject, but in different ways, and it might land better for you.
Yeah, definitely. I like that. And so that's going into my next question. Because with transformation, leadership, and all that stuff, there's a lot of that stuff deals with vulnerability. So one, what you just said, going and trying different dance instructors, like that's you going out there and being vulnerable.
Yeah,
So why
100%.
does dance particularly effective entry point to being more vulnerable and like doing that vulnerability work?
Yeah. So one of the pieces about it, and part of our mission is debunking a lot of people's beliefs and what they think about dance, and also intimacy. Intimacy is a word that has been perverted to basically mean sex, and it's
Yeah.
not. We have lots of different forms of intimacy, and with dance, you are in it because you're both vulnerable. It is such an intimate space. So a lot goes into making sure that that's a safe space for learning and growth. And this is part of where, even when I'm watching people dance, I feel like I'm getting to peek at their authentic selves and who they are. And
Yeah.
it's such a beautiful thing to witness because there's no bullshit in it.
Hmm.
You can't get on the dance floor and do a freestyle type dance and not have your authentic self be a part of that experience.
Yeah.
And that vulnerability aspect is part of what really brings people out of their shell, and it brings them together. Um, and they get to experience support being who they are.
Yeah. Being vulnerable is hard. It was hard for me. But it definitely it once you're able to be vulnerable and get yourself out of that box that you're in, there's just so much more in the world. Like if you don't allow yourself to go here or talk to this person or go to this group or just try all these different things or new experiences because you don't want to open yourself up out to that, then you're going to stay in your box. And I mean, some people are okay with that because they get comfortable in that. But if if you really want to grow and you have that growth mindset, you have to learn how to be vulnerable and to be more authentic, like be more open. And so dance really helped me with that. It took me like a year to dance consistently because I would go to the class, I'm interested, but I would
Hmm.
sit and like watch a lot because I'm like, this is cool. And I gotta watch and I gotta figure this out before I get up and I look foolish. But just and then finally I would get up and I would start doing it more and more and more and more, and it just opened up a lot of doors for me, I know. Otherwise, I would probably be sitting as a technician and like not and just being quiet and working solo because I don't want to have all these conversations or I don't want to well, and conversations are vulnerable also because you have to bring up your personality. You have to bring up and be open to maybe someone not liking you or something negative happening, let's just say,
Hmm.
blanket it. And so it really just opens up so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're being vulnerable. I've always wanted to try hip hop dance, and I've always wanted to go to a
Love it.
class and learn like the dance moves and stuff like that. I sometimes will just watch like Chris Brown and like Michael Jackson videos because like it's just so interesting how they can do those movements and things like that. So
Yeah.
I get to step out of my comfort zone and find a class.
We'll connect because we might have some places that we can suggest that people we know who live in your area.
Okay, perfect, perfect. So, for the four elements of dance leadership, could you walk us through your framework for leadership development through dance?
Yeah,
Yeah. It's
right there.
right there. Did you want to go over it?
Oh, you good.
Okay. So we kind of think of it as like these pillars. So you have presence and awareness, the clear communication, both verbal and nonverbal, adaptability and responsiveness. So the
Mhm.
being able to work with that, and then the mutual support and trust. Those are huge. So someone will not look up to a leader and see them as a leader if they don't have these aspects about them and what they bring to the leadership.
Mhm.
And the same thing happens in a partnership, in a relationship, and in dance, where I'll give a competition example. So when we do competition, it's a random draw partner, a random song, and like nothing's choreographed, like where it's all on the fly. So there's a lot of like stress in that situation, and we're being professionally judged.
Yeah.
So the partners that have shown me leadership have also been good leaders in their career lives, and they
Hmm.
set these things up for me. They show me that they're present with me by doing a deep breath in and like giving me a good connection and hold, and showing me that they're aware of like where I'm at spatially, and that they're with me in this. They, and because of, and all of that takes them communicating non-verbally in a very clear way. And the verbal way that they do this is like, we've got this. Like they give all of these aspects. And then the adaptability and responsiveness, they're showing that they're willing to work with me. So if I give them something, they respond back and like work with me. And then
Yeah.
and that builds all of the trust and support.
Yeah, or if something goes wrong, learn how to work off of that and make it a creative variation.
Yes.
Yeah. But if you think of those pillars, it's in those are in everything, like building relationship with others, building your relationship stronger with your specific partner, who your significant other,
Yeah.
or in your professional life. Just yeah, that presence and awareness, clear communication, verbal and nonverbal. You can't be giving your back to someone while talking to them.
Yeah.
Adaptability and responsiveness in the moments that you're in, and that mutual support and trust.
Yeah.
So off of those four pillars, what do you feel people struggle with the most?
Trust. Trust is the hardest one. And uh, there's a lot of reasons why, societally, part of that has been, it's really tough to feel like you can count on someone. So that's where the vulnerability and the intimacy that we work on with people, and why I think we see people access this in dance where we don't see them access it in other areas,
Yeah.
is because of the way that vulnerability and intimacy come and intertwine, allows the space for the trust to be formed.
Mhm. Perfect. And then, so for applications beyond the dance floor, what results have you seen with your methodology is applied in the corporate environment?
Yeah. Yeah.
I would
Uh,
say all of it, just being a leader and others having that trust in you and believing in you and being able to get everything done.
yeah, there's so much about the relationship on the dance floor and process improvement, because you're constantly checking, trying something, having it work or not work, making adjustments, trying it again, like that
Mhm.
efficiency um of the cycle of repeating through those. And then because it trains people in that nonverbal space, people who dance do a better job of picking up on those nonverbal cues with their, staff in their teams. Um, and because they can pick up on that, they can actually do a better job of leading their team out of whatever might be happening.
Mhm. And with that, do you feel like there's specific industries or roles? I know you said like people that have been successful in like their leadership role and things like that, that have been more receptive to your movement-based approach.
People with a growth mindset specifically. So, in West Coast Swing, uh, that one is, we always laugh because it's like 90% engineers.
And healthcare.
No, 10% is like healthcare workers and like other, like attorneys,
Yeah.
whatever. But it's so funny to see that dynamic, and it's because there's a lot of science in the structure of the dance as well, because it's a bar of music is 4,
Hmm.
and in a dance world we use a section of 8. So we use 2 bars, and then a phrase is 32 counts. But West Coast swings basic is a 6 count, which is off phrase.
Yeah.
But because we're working together and we follow the phrasing of music, we're making adjustments. So we're making adjustments to the counts that we're using so that we fit that 32 count phrase. So that's the part that makes it like super nerdy and sciencey in a way that
Because
is
they're
also,
focused on that.
and it's a
Yeah.
very growth mindset oriented.
And the challenge about it, they love the challenge, and yeah, they get the science and breaking it down and trying to figure things out. And it's that it falls back on that growth mindset. Is it's something that challenges them and makes them grow with how they hear the music, how they connect with the partner, how they can break everything down and make a piece exactly how they're trying to play it out to be. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's fun.
All right. And then for this is an interactive component. So could you guide our audience through a simple partner exercise that demonstrates leadership principles?
Yeah.
Yeah. One that we like to use is like a hand exercise where you touch each other's hands. And in this, you want to match the energy the other person is giving. So if one person, like if Daleen were to give me more energy and I were not to match it, it would fall back. If I were to
Hmm.
give more energy and she doesn't, then it'd fall back. So we have to match the energy we're given and how that can change. And sometimes when one person gives more energy, the other person lightens their energy so that we can move around and we can move from side to side. And we want to keep a constant connection because through nonverbal communication, either we can see what's happening visually or it's not visual and we have to feel the energy. And so we always have to be matching and feeling when one person gives more than their normal amount of energy so that you learn, when to start listening. And then if Daleen were to give more energy than I am, then I would let kind of her take over and lead me per se. And that's when she hears something and wants to communicate. It's that give and take, that actual conversation. And yeah, it can be just that little exercise can be fun because you can make a spin happen. You get to create some weird shapes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with that, if someone's doing that, what should they be focused on about their own responses during these exercises?
They should be focused on that really that staying connected and that energy.
Mhm.
If first matching each other, and so you know what that energy feels like to match each other. If
Hmm.
you use a scale from 1 to 10, and like 10 being you're pushing a person over and 1 being you're barely touching them, like start off at like a 2 or a 3 where you're just giving a little bit.
So
And
like we're compressing into each other
yeah,
with
there's a
the,
Yeah.
compression happening. And then when one person gives more compression or more energy, like turning it up from a 2 or 3 to a 4 or 5, that means they want to speak. They have something to say. And then the other person keeps that matched energy so that they can follow that heavier energy to then, create something out of that. And when they want to speak, then they turn their energy up. And the other person goes, "Oh, I feel that. I hear that." And they lighten themselves back down. And that's what that leads into again, just that communication, that leadership, and that relationship of feeling the energy, feeling what's going on, and processing it and having something create out of it.
yeah, not being attached to how it looks.
Yeah. Just going with the flow.
Yeah.
All right. So for closing and next steps, and we're going to hit two things on this because we have this one and the first topic. So what
Yes.
one leadership insight do you hope that everyone takes away from today's conversation?
The concept of following. So to be a good leader, you need to be able to be a good follower.
I like that. And then for the first subject, what single piece of advice would you give to someone looking to build resilience
It cut out. Yeah.
You cut
Resilience.
out for a second there, so we didn't hear that.
So, what single piece of advice would you give to someone looking to build resilience through movement?
Mm.
Not giving up, trying again. Like there is no,
Don't be hard on yourself. Like, get past that barrier, get past your own blocks that you've created in yourself, and just keep moving forwards, keep growing. Like, if when that example Daleen used of when you're a baby and you fell down when you're trying to walk, you got right back up and you kept going, you kept
Yeah.
trying.
Yeah.
Don't cut yourself short, because if you didn't get up and keep trying over and over again, you wouldn't learn how to walk and you wouldn't be walking right now.
yeah.
Yeah.
The running joke, my background is ER and trauma nursing. And so there's like we're like, well, nobody's dying. And then like, well, but did you die? Like, if you
Yeah.
didn't die, like then go ahead and try it again.
Try
It's
it
not
again.
that
Yeah.
bad.
Yep.
And all these things, they can definitely be learned. Like, sometimes people do have some natural skills which they've built up over time by something that they've learned when they're younger. There's the natural ability to pick things up quicker by say, and then some other people might take longer, but everything is learned. And so, I mean, I hear a lot of guys, they say, "Oh, I can't dance because I have two left feet," or "I don't hear rhythm or anything." And that might be because they
Hmm.
just haven't, maybe it's something that is more difficult for them, but they haven't given it an honest, hard shot where they keep trying and they keep practicing and they push forwards through that,
Yeah. Well, and resilience, it
which
is
that's
a
resilience. Yeah.
skill that you learn. So if you can do some type of embodied practice like dancing or art or some other form where you're getting to practice over and over again that resilience,
Hmm.
that is naturally going to allow you to cope better with the things that happen in life. Um, the life is rough. And so we all could use practice to resilience.
Yes, definitely. 100%. So how can an audience learn more about your 7-day kitchen challenge? And I would like to know what's next for in terms of like what you guys and your mission.
Yeah. So the way that people can connect with us, Couples Who Dance, our handle, we're available on most social media platforms. Our website is coupleswhodance.com. And there we do have resources and things that people can get on there. We'll actually be putting our next 7-day challenge on there. And we have a downloadable packet for people for ideas for date night.
Yeah, it is. We're still working on the website, updating with all these things and making it a little bit more clean and nice,
Mhm.
but all that stuff should be on there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well,
And
again,
then what's next for us, sorry, I've missed that part. What's next for us is that uh, we are updating our website. We are in the middle of, we just finished up a really amazing entrepreneurial boot camp. And we'll
ooh,
be like trickling out some like little tips and stuff from that. Um,
Yeah.
Speaking at some events
Yeah.
and
We have a lot of things that we have in work coming up where we wanted to do we've done a lot of things so far uh, close to us where people can actually just drive and we meet somewhere.
yeah.
But there's an audience, there's a lot of people that we just can't work with because they're in another state or something. So we're working on doing virtual like workshops and virtual date nights, as well as retreats. And those won't be virtual. We'll have to go to those, but retreats to
Yeah.
amazing locations like
Yeah.
Hawaii, or what's another one?
we're going to be doing the Dominican Republic.
Yeah, Dominican Republic. And these retreats are over the weekend. So it's going to be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And it's going to be covering a lot of these aspects that we've been talking about, and dance and exercises to do with your significant other, to help build your communication and your relationship, really strengthen it, strengthen that bond, and grow together.
Yeah, super fun.
Yeah. Well, there you go. I love to have you. And And I really appreciate you guys, jumping on and sharing your expertise and all of this. It's very interesting topics and how you guys correlate, the dancing and movement with that leadership, resilience, vulnerability, like all of it. And it's a whole health surrounding thing. A lot of people don't realize that. So I truly appreciate you for coming on. And do you guys have any last words?
No, thank you so much for having us and helping us. Our goal is to help people see themselves as dancers and to help people see dance through a different lens that maybe they hadn't thought about before. Because I think there's so much value in the art of dance and in the science of dance that lights people up. And yeah, we just want to see more people dancing.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, go find them on social media. It's Couples Who Dance. And if you want to check out their website, it's coupleswhodance.com. You can get some free resources on there, and they're amazing people. So don't hesitate to reach out to them if you're interested. And again, thank you guys. And thank you everyone for tuning in and listening. So I hope everyone has a great day.
Right. Thank you.